There was another. I was interested in your thoughts on the skills, though, because one of the interesting things about the game, in my opinion, is that you can treat skills as kind of incidental, just as colorful things. I want to get him to that citadel. We'll have him make a few navigation rolls and we'll see him navigate. That'll be cool. But the rolls are really there just for show. That's one way to play with skills, that they are just a colorful add-on to the business of being in the adventure and, fighting whatever's there to fight. Whereas if you want to play the game as though skill failures matter, that the plot will be different because of successful and failed skills. If you think of the plot as what we leave behind as we play, then which skills are failed, which ones are successful, which ones are failed in which way, like a spell fizzling or misfiring or backfiring, different ways to fail. If you think of the skills and spells as doing that, so that every failure is really important and every success is really important, and you don't know what the plot's going to be as you go along, then I think but that's a different kind of GMing, isn't it?
Very much so. It's more conducive to the style that we were playing, for sure. I mean, if I had a campaign setting, very specific scenario in mind and that I was following, absolutely. I mean, that could have a fizzled spell or something could have completely turned the table, and that would have been a very difficult, very nerve-wracking style for sure.
Well, also playing with Robbie and me and trying to control the way things go, that's probably contraindicated in the first place. But the situation. Oh, okay. Robbie, did you have any questions for Scott about the GMing and what it was like for him?
Well, kind of going back to first level characters. I mean, it does strike me that if I was going to run this at the first level, or maybe one thing that I would, maybe one reason why I would avoid that is because the bestiary is completely deadly, it seems, for a first level character, right?
You got to face leeches and skeletons, otherwise you're fucked. That's it.
Right, because at least what it gives you initially to kind of face, doesn't seem like there's much in there for a first level character.
Right. And also, I mean, some of the concepts. I mean, who wants to play one of the character concepts that I really liked? One of the race options are those wretched ex-evil elves.
Yeah, the hero elves.
The hero elves are just there to be done. I mean, obviously you want one in your game somewhere if you're in the right location for it. And I mean the romance between a hero elf and a fallen Aerodon who failed his faith check in the advancement, it's just there, right, to be done.
I was also thinking just on another point about the skills. It's a bizarre selection of skills because, they have what I would consider useful ones, but they also have basket making,
right?
Cobbler.
Well, I just actually did a video about this because we were talking about this in Undiscovered. The video that I just exported, in fact, was about this. And I was actually saying, this is actually a plus in a certain way to play. If you play with a lot of what I was calling kibble in the environment of play, in the situation of play, if you're playing with a lot of kibble that's suitable for that spot, then all those skills start to opportunistically make sense. And if you're playing in the way that Scott and I were just talking about, where skill, failure, and success actually had consequences, then being a basket maker actually would be remarkably important and interesting sooner or later. It's maybe not even ways that the game master is anticipating. They don't have to put you in a basket maker's shop for that to matter. They can have it be a big deal. In terms of a critical in weaving a basket when you have a physically dangerous thing to carry in a chase scene. Right. Well, I had made my basket. I got a critical on that. No problem. There is no problem. You're not going to drop that thing. You're not going to burn yourself with it during this chase scene because your basket freaking rocks. Right. It's not even just a tactical thing. I mean, I was thinking the example I gave in the video I just made was, what if your character is a fry cook? And this was a game where you in dreams, and so the situation can change all over the place. What if your character is a fry cook and you have all these skills from the book? You can make an omelet, you can do this, you can do that, and it's taking all these different skills. And you're like, why would they have all these different skills in there that you could, say, oh, I'm a fry cook, I'm going to need all these different things. Look at all those skill points. You could have an auto mag for those kind of skill points, right? You could be a commando for those kind of skill points. Why did you do this for a fry cook? Like, well, yeah, but I walk in dreams and we manipulate dreams. So if I'm really good at that, I can actually turn the dream into a kitchen if I wanted, number one. Or what about this? What if you're in a situation in a dream where there is some kind of a water-based, a heater-based water tank, a heated water tank of some kind, and you're going to blow it up to kill the monster in the dream. Well, you just spent your whole career as a fry cook not blowing up the boiler, right, in the real world. So, right. Your ability to blow up the boiler based on that is probably pretty good. So, stuff like that is, they crop up unexpectedly. And that's what I think in Darkurthe, that it really benefits when the environment that all the characters are in at any time is just littered with the naturalistic contents of that environment. Right? Just littered, scattered. Anywhere you go.
Absolutely.
A shop, a street, a ruined underground room, a temple, riding on horseback. That there's just all the little things to see, touch, smell, grab, and cope with all the time. And then those skills will jump up as stuff you want to do. You're like, well, what are you going to do? We're camping, right? Working on my basket. I'm just going to do that. And who knows? I mean, the fact that your basket is wretched or your basket is awesome might matter a lot tomorrow. So yeah, I've been thinking about those skill lists, which I find absolutely uninspiring. Really uninspiring. And then the skill lists that to me have really sung in play, and they're superficially similar. I mean, they're both encyclopedic. But one kind actually really lends itself to this bouncy, dynamic, who knows what's going to plot affecting aspect of play. And one of them is just all this tactical shit that completely depends on what the GM put into the scenario. Oh, you have computer code, code cracking? Good, I'm going to put in a barrier program. Why are there doors into dungeons? So that they can be broken down. If you've got these skills, they'll make sure and put those in the scenario so your skills will matter. It's very circular, it's very unsatisfying, it's very contrived. Whereas I think the weird personal skills of this game, if you embrace them, actually start to be pretty interesting. So anyway, those are we're just talking about the different ways in which a skill set of this kind and a resolution of this kind can make the skills truly consequential, like really interesting to have. Does that make any sense, Scott?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I totally agree. And the another thing that, as far as the skills go, I really appreciated from the very beginning was the breaking up of the combat style skills into dueling or duelist and mercenary.
Right.
And
yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it just kind of it's more I don't know, it's more evocative, I guess is the word.
It definitely is,
It
because
kind of
social class matters in this game more than it might look. I've realized. Not just in our particular one, but if you're going to take the setting seriously at all, so it's not just an excuse for the A team to get together. If you're going to
right.
go to a spot in the setting and say, what's it like in this spot? What are what's it like to go eat a meal in Maldor? What's it like to, go to a shop in the Moorish lands? What's it like to travel on a road through the pagan forests, right? If you're actually thinking in those terms, who would be there? We're going to play a game set there. Well, I'm going to make up a character, right? If you do that, then there's a lot of room for those choices in player character creation to have an impact in terms of social class. How are you going to be treated by other people? How are the player characters? Maybe the players will start picking up on that and setting themselves up as a social hierarchy, within the fiction. I actually like that idea quite a lot. I wanted to ask you too about your non-player characters, because you came up with a lot. I mean, we had a ton of hirelings, first of all, and you brought in the solitary wizardly guy. Can you talk a little bit about why and how, or why you brought in those characters? I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm saying it as a neutral. So you brought in a lot of NPCs. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Now, my concern, and we were talking about the bestiary. There's not a lot of first level opponents, and there's not. And I was really concerned that, honestly, putting y'all up against it, like I was going to put y'all at the very beginning up against the bog beast that's in the and it's pretty ferocious. And I just didn't want to put you up against something that was going to be really dangerous. So my intention at first was to give you a couple of NPCs that were expendable, just in case there was any really severe attacks that might knock somebody off. I didn't want it to be one of the main characters. Obviously I wanted to and I gave them, if you notice, I gave them some extra points as far as their combat skills.
They were like level. They had skill levels of 3 and stuff.
And I felt it felt weird because y'all were clearly supposed to be better warriors than they were.
That leads us to that tricky. We're still stomping around in the mire of what the game hands us for starting characters, which again I think was a matter of habit or assumption on the part of the authors. I even shocked a friend recently who has kind of a, if not proprietary, at least a sort of rosy view of some forms of D&D. And I shocked him by saying that I would prefer to start at 4th level, not 1st. And he was like, but that's not how you do it. It wouldn't be a real 4th level.